Hello, I'm Karen, and in this video we're going to be making the actual arms and legs, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to share with you how to make one, because they're all the same size, and because I've made my other ones in advance, and then we're going to actually attach them to the body. And while I'm sewing them to the body, I'm going to be giving the history, not necessarily the history, but I'm going to be talking about needles and the importance of the needle, of our history for not only for researching our crochet, but the history of our ancestors in general, and so that our Stone Age man is not actually as thick as what they say. Alright, so once again we'll start off with the long end. This technically really doesn't need to be, because we're just going to tuck this inside the arm. So what we're going to do is we get our slip knot, and then we're going to do a chain of 2. So that's 1, 2, and into the first chain we're going to work 6 single crochet, or double crochet if you're in the UK. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And same again, we're just going to continue working in the rounds. We don't need to slip stitch to join. So this one, for the round 2, what we need to do is work 2 single crochet in the first 5 and only 1 in the end, so we end up with a total of 11 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to count as I go along. So this is 2, 4, 6, whoops daisy, 8, 10, and the last one is 1, so we do 11 stitches. Okay, now technically speaking, this next bit is going to be working into the round afterwards, but it's the best way I could do it so I could get the right size for the hand and the arm. So now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet 2 together 6 times. Now it's going to be a little bit fiddly, okay, but you bear with me. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now you've got to twist it around a little bit and go through these next 2 to make 6. Now I'm using this tail end again to mark this next stitch. I know it looks a bit bad at the end right now, don't worry about it. I'm just going to get the tail end and tuck it through here, because this is going to be my marker point again, just so that I know, because I'm going to do 4 rounds of going around. But you've actually got 5 stitches. So this is the stitch that I've just pulled the other tail end through. That's 1, 2. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the 5th stitch. Okay, so we're going to do 4 rounds of this, of where we just crochet around and around till we've got our total of 4 rows above the marker stitch. So you don't need to count, but I was just showing you beforehand that you actually have got 5 stitches. If you want to count as you go, you can, or you can just do like me and say, okay then, that's round 1 done, because that's my beginning stitch. And we've got to make sure we keep coming up through the centre, because we want to keep it a hollow tube. So I've been showing you with the bigger hook because it's easier than when I was making the little bears. As much as I loved making them, and they're absolutely beautiful, to show you what I was doing on a video, I found that it was really tiny. So I thought actually I will use a bigger hook this time to show you the bigger bear, because I think, to be fair, this size bear will actually be quite a popular bear for youngsters. I say it's a nice bear to be able to give as a gift for if you've got a new baby, or if you want to just give it to somebody for Christmas who loves bears. That's 1, 2, 3. I'm on my 4th round already. Yeah, you can just give it for a gift for birthdays, Christmases, anniversaries, weddings. They think they'd look quite cute actually, wouldn't they, if you made like top hat and tail, and or just a top hat, and perhaps that should be another video that I make. Right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've got my 4 rows. Even though this one looks higher up, it's still correct. And for the very last one, we're going to single crochet 2 together twice. And if you can't do this second one, it's okay. So that's 1, and twist it around some more. So it is a little bit fiddly, especially when you're using the smaller hook, and then do a chain 1 at the end, and that gives you this nice shape here. You see that, so that you've got a better shape for the top of joining onto your body. I'm going to cut my tail end off, and then just put my hook through the end and pull this tail end, whoops daisy, pull that back through there, pull that nice and tight, get my needle. Now I'm just going to show you, I don't know if you can tell on this video properly, if you can see through the hole. This, if I put the yarn right to the very end there, and then you can see this little tiny hole there. That's how small the hole was in a needle. The needle was roughly the same length as well as this needle, so it's just a normal size for our needle. But last year in Russia, inside a cave, they was doing a dig, which they're still doing a dig in that cave, by the way. It's called the Denisovan cave, and they've been working on it continuously for years, and what they're doing is they're digging layer by layer by layer, going down to find out what our ancient ancestors was up to, from the fossils and things that they've left behind. And I'm just going to cut this bit off here, there, and I'll show you. Right, I haven't got the actual needle, but I've got a fossil. This is a bone fossil there, and if I just get another stone and listen, you can tell it's definitely the stone. It's turned to stone now. But that's what sort of things that they'd be digging up out of the ground. I found this one in my own garden actually, and this particular stone my daughter got me from when she went on a trip with school, because they're doing climate change. Because I love fossils. I'm just going to show you my other one. See this one here, this one is 80 million year old trace fossil, and inside it is the flint that our ancestors would have been using. And this one could have even been used, because of the angle of it and everything, they could have used it as a hammer, or they could have used it as a scratching thing. But it was already this, just like this when I found it. So just thought I'd share that, because it's actually, oh well, I just love fossils, and I love that. I'd love to go on an archaeological dig, a proper one, but I tend to dig in my own garden, or like when I go to the seaside. Okay, so now you've got your arm. What you need to do is you look at your body, and you look where the ear is, and you look where the neck is, and we want to come down so that if that's the neck area, we're going to work into this. You can either work into this stitch or this stitch, depending where you want your shoulder to be. But you want it to be in the same line as the ear. So you pick a stitch and go underneath the stitch, okay, and pull your arm to the body, and then go underneath 2 strands. Let me see that through there, and then we want to come back through a strand. Then we want to go back into that same place where we've already done the stitch, and we're going to just stitch over and over. Now, to make sure he's coming back to the body this way, I'm going to come back this way round now, and back through the other side. So this is how we stitch on our arms, just because this gives them this nice floppy wobbly effect that just gives them that bit more fun and realism to be able to play with. And so to make sure that that side's going over, I'm going to go back through that way again. That's all I do, is just use one particular area where I want it to be and then just work it so that that's really, really nice and secure and it's not going to come off anywhere. Now you can do what I've been doing with the other ones and keep coming out. I'm going to go up through the back of the body now, so I'll come up through the stitches. I'm sorry, Bear, we have to manipulate him a little bit to do this. But anyway, yes, let's tell you now, because now I've done this and you've seen how it's done, all of the other ones are going to be the same. So I'm just going to complete the arms and legs on the bear. So I've already crocheted the other ones up, and I want to share a little bit of knowledge about the needle because it's actually relevant to our story of looking for the origins of crochet and our ancient ancestors. So the needle that they found, this fossil needle, which was made out of a bone of a bird which hasn't been identified yet, was found in this cave in Russia, and it's been verified with DNA testing by Oxford University, and it's actually been dated to be 61,000 years old. So just make sure that's the same level. So it made me think, because I was like, oh, okay then, so our ancestors was able to sew with a needle as small as this one, so they could do intricate work. I mean, because the hole was a lot smaller, then it means that they was using a very, very fine thread to be able to sew with. And due to other artifacts there in this same Denisovan cave, it's also proven that there was, sorry, I'm going to come through there first. It was proven that they, 40,000 years ago, that there was threading elk's teeth. An elk, I'm assuming it's some kind of dairy sort of animal, isn't it? An elk, or I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is. But yeah, they were so they could actually say, "Oops, I've gone all the way around." So there was actually threading teeth onto a strand of something, because they haven't found the strand. Obviously, that's biodegraded, to be able to make a necklace. And so it made me think about our ancient ancestors, and because of the beauty of the internet and the pictures that they've shown you, you can actually see what the actual cave looks like from the like from outside looking in, but you can also see there's a view of looking inside out. So I was sitting there, as I do, you know, while I'm poorly, and I was thinking about being, you know, a caveman sat in this cave, sitting, threading teeth onto a thread to make a necklace. And it made me think that if our ancestors had got the knowledge of how to carve this beautiful little needle out of a bone and sew things, they couldn't have been that thick, really, because if they got time to sit and make jewellery, then they was quite happy with the skills that they'd got. And so I started to have a look, and I was like, okay then, so what was it like at that period of time? You know, what was the weather like? What was the country like? What was the terrain like where they were? And that's where I really had one of those ooh moments. So this is where we need to get the archaeologists and everybody to have a different think about things, because when you're doing the legs have to be in line as well, and it's just on the row before we do our reduction. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, well, okay, well, I've had a look, I've seen what the weather's like, I've got maps up to see what it was like. Oh, it was in the Ice Age, so 61,000 years ago or 40,000 years ago, when they were sitting in this cave, it was actually the Ice Age. And so that made me then start to question, because as I've done my history, I've looked at Egypt and the pyramids and stuff, and people are like, oh, the pyramids was made for this and they was done for that, and you've got all these conspiracy theories about what the pyramids was really made for, because they don't believe that they was actually made originally to bury the Egyptians in. And so if they weren't made originally to bury the Egyptians in, what were they made for, and who were they made by? Now, because we know that our ancestors, I say that there was either a Denisovan person or a Neanderthal person, and they were sitting there being able to sew and make beautiful jewellery and clothing, then just because we found certain things, it doesn't mean that that was all they had. Because as we go back in history, we find that at this same period of time that our ancestors was living in this Stone Age, the woolly mammoth was also roaming the earth. Now, the woolly mammoth has also had some DNA tests done, and it's proven that the very first versions of the woolly mammoth actually are the closest related being to the current African elephant. And their DNA match is up to 98% a match. So I would imagine that the little bits that's missing is like the fur that's disappeared. So it made me think that maybe, you know, because obviously in today's world, the African people, I can't say that they've tamed elephants as such, but they work with them, you know, and they can lift heavy things and help them with logging and stuff like that. So I was thinking, well, maybe our Denisovan and our Neanderthals was also friendly with the creatures, and in particular the woolly mammoth, which could have helped them move really big stones, which means that they could have, not saying that they did, but they could have helped build the pyramids, because the only reason that the evidence that they're saying about that the pyramids was around at a particular time are because of the fossils that they found. Now, it's the same as the Denisovan cave. I'm not being funny. It's a stone. At the end of the day, the actual stone work of the actual cave itself has been there for a lot longer than the things that they found in the cave. And so it's quite possible that the pyramids was actually built by our Stone Age man, and our Stone Age man was a lot more modern than we give him credit for. And if you look at the climate change and everything else and all these different things that happened at that particular period of time, it means that Africa 40,000 and 60,000 years ago actually would have had the same sort of temperature as France and Italy do today. So they would have had, you know, some nice summer months, and then they would have had freezing cold winter months. and so that means that the stones could have actually have been moved into place by sliding them across the ice. And so that then adds to the question of like, well, okay, then if this Stone Age man, the Neanderthals and the Denisovans, made the pyramids, what did they make them for? Because it wasn't until the Egyptians came along and, you know, like I have in my house. I've moved into my house, but I'm not the first person to have lived in my house. So if I died here and they found my body, it didn't mean that I built my house. And it's the same with the Egyptians. I think the Egyptians moved to the pyramids and then decorated them with all their different writings and things, because 12,500 years ago we had a climate change disaster which made the ice melt, and so that's why Africa's hot now, because as the ice melted back, because the ice actually used to cover the whole of England and Ireland, well, not the whole of England, most of England and all of Ireland, and you actually was able to walk all the way around the world by going across the top through, what you'd do is you'd go from Ireland to England, all the way across to Europe, because it was completely ice, and then from Europe up to Russia, across Russia, and across the little bit of Russia to America, the other side. Okay, then now I've finished my bear, I'm just going to get this last little bit. Unless, of course, you wanted to make it a dangly bear to hang on something, you can use that for that. Yeah, so I want to propose that the pyramids was built earlier than what they've said, that the Stone Age man was using woolly mammoths and technology that we don't know about because most of it got washed away with the Great Flood when the Ice Age melted, which they probably did have writing and things. There we go, look, there's our little bear, all finished. So yeah, so they had all their tools and their equipment, and they made the pyramids, and I think that they actually made them as how to explain this one, it was a filter. So essentially the pyramid would have been, let's use my stone as a pyramid. So this is my pyramid, and at the bottom of the pyramid was where the River Nile, it spread out. It used to spread out further than what it did. You can tell by the geographical things on the maps. And so the water that was coming like the estuaries, it comes out to the sea. Well, technically, it actually would have been that way around, because it would have been the Mediterranean Sea there, and the pyramid would have been there, and then Africa would have been down there. And so this water would have then risen up to a certain level inside the pyramid, and then come out at the top of the pyramid and come down the sides. So that they, because if you look at the pyramids was, on the inside, all the mechanisms are all made out of limestone, which is 99% waterproof. And on the outside they was covered with limestone, which also makes them waterproof. So the water would have gone in, gone up, come out through the holes at the top, and then would have gone down to then use as an irrigation system to be able to feed the land and to have fresh water for all the people that lived there. That's my theory anyway. Whether I'm sure that some people are going to go, you're completely wrong and you're nuts. But you've got to be able to think about these things and look at things in a slightly different slant, because like I have been doing with my crochet history, our historians wrote about what they knew at that time. And in the 1800s, they'd only just discovered fossils. Okay, so we've got to accept that they didn't necessarily know that much, and that they've been going, oh, it could have been this, it could have been that, it could have been the other. And looking at the way that the land was done, and the temperature and the other Stone Age buildings that was about at that time, it makes sense to me that they was actually doing, let's say, an irrigation system, which was actually very, very clever. And the reason why I thought this was because while I've been doing my crochet history, I've actually done a lot of research on mills, because of mills was used in the textile industry. And so I was tracing mills, and it's actually the inside mechanisms inside the pyramid, especially the great big Giza pyramid, are actually the same sort of mechanisms which are inside a watermill, which was worked the same way, as that as the tide came up, the water went in, and it came up and up to a certain level. Now they stored it in a pond in England and Ireland, where they would have had watermills there. But if it came out of the top and trickled down the outside, and then you've got 4 different things. And the reason why that they was aligned the way they were, and Stonehenge, were because they was actually like a clock. It's so that as the sun was rising in a certain, because obviously it rises in the east and sets in the west. But at certain times of the year, when we've got the equinox, we've got like a hottest time and the coldest time. So at the coldest time, they would have known everywhere's frozen, we can nip over to Ireland, or we can nip all the way round. And they wouldn't have nipped anyway, because there's evidence that they had sleighs, so they would have been sledging all the way around the world to go to different places. And then obviously in the summer season was when they couldn't do that, so they've got to time it things with the actual timing of the way that the sea froze and everything at the time. So there you go. That's my little version of history, all based on the fact that a needle was found in a Russian cave. So thanks, Russia, for your help. And thank you, Oxford University, for your DNA samples. And thank you to my garden for finding a real fossil, so that I can understand more about my research. So there you go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. I do hope that you have made your little bear by now. It's been lots of fun. I've really enjoyed it. And my next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you how to make the hat. I'm just going to do a small one because I've already crocheted up the body of the snowman. So I'm going to show you how to make the hat, which will fit your bear. So we're just doing a small scale. I'm going to talk about Miss Lambert, and she's part of the crochet history, okay, but how she actually also links us back through history to the Trojan times. Thanks again. Bye for now.